Well, hello, April. Thank you for joining me for the first time on my podcast.
Hey, Carrie, I am so excited to be here.
I'm so excited. And I'm so glad that the moms can see behind you because you've got your follow the leader sign back there. So, for the moms who may not be familiar with you and your what you do and your podcast, can you just share with us a little bit about yourself, your family, and your homeschooling?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I grew up as a homeschool kid. I was
I didn't
homeschooled
know that.
from K through seventh. And then we moved to Florida and I did private school for a couple years and then I did public school too. So I've kind of run the whole gamut of the education system. And then I got my degree in elementary education. So I was a first grade teacher in public school for 5 years. And then when my oldest daughter hit fifth grade, that's when we really kind of started having kind of a stirring in our spirit that there were some things that she was being introduced to that we just weren't okay with. There were some bullying situations with some students. There were some situations with teachers that we just weren't comfortable with. And so we really started praying about the option of homeschooling and really felt like the Lord just opened that door in a really obvious way. And so my husband and I decided to pull her out and we did classical conversations with her. So we are on year 8 of classical
Wow,
conversations. Yeah. So we
that's
just graduated
dedication.
her. Yes. We just graduated her. She just graduated high school. And actually just dropped her off for college on Monday. So that is still very, very fresh. But then we still have 3 at home. So I've got a fifth grader, a third grader, and a kindergartner.
Okay.
And then I started Follow the Leader. It's been about a year ago, just as a source of encouragement to other moms and a way to get some of my thoughts and emotions processed out. God has given me the gift of talking and talking and talking and talking. And so I was like, hey, you know what? Let's use this to help other people. So
I
we
love
started
that.
the podcast about a year ago.
The gift of gab. It works
Yes,
out perfect, especially for the topic we're going to be talking about.
absolutely.
But real quick, what state do you live in and homeschool in?
I'm in Missouri. We are in the Ozarks. It's beautiful. Some of your listeners may have heard of College of the Ozarks. That's where Ella is going to school. It's pretty well known. It's very unique. It's also known as Hard Work U because the students have a job on campus that completely covers and pays for all of their college tuition.
Yeah, when we were in Missouri last year for the Bloom and Blossom conference, we went to the College of the Ozarks. We went to their restaurant. I was so
Mhm.
impressed. The food
It's
was
gorgeous.
so good. The scenery was beautiful. And then talking to all of the waiters, and they were all students. And so they were telling us exactly what you said, just how, they graduate debt free and all the skills that they're learning. And so I've actually been telling a lot of kids or teens, I
Yeah.
should say, hey, if you want to go to Missouri, you should go to
Yes.
the College
It's
of.
a gem for sure. That's where she's working. Actually, she's at the Keeter Center. She's a hostess there, which is such a gift. But she's doing her camp this week and just jumping right in. So definitely graduating as a homeschool student has been a plus for sure.
Yes, it definitely is. All right, so thank you for sharing all of that. And so, speaking of the topic that I wanted to pick your brain on today, now neither one of us have a degree in neurodivergence.
Right.
We're not experts in that. I was a classroom teacher, like you as well. I decided during student teaching that I could not do first grade. Because as soon as we sat down on the ground for story time and the kids with their snotty hands
Oh
started
yeah.
rubbing my legs, I was like,
Hmm.
yeah, no, give me middle
Yep.
schoolers who smell. I will take that. Anyway, I digress. So we don't have a degree in this. We don't have a PhD in this. However, I do feel like you and I and a lot of the moms out there, we are experts in this field because of our personal experience.
For
So
sure.
I want to talk about attention deficit disorder today.
Yes.
So, with that in mind, what is, because I know you've been doing a lot of research on your own, because that's what homeschool moms do.
Yes.
What is ADD, and like, what are some of the clues that a kid might have it? And then, more personally, what are some things that you noticed in your son that you went, hmm? But also keep in mind, because I had a son too, and I had very active kids. There are just some characteristics that every kid is going to have, especially
Right.
boys. So
Right.
when do you what do you look at and go, hmm, that's a little bit more
Right.
than what a typical kid or boy might, exhibit.
Well, it's interesting because it can look different for different kids. And also, it's just such a privilege to have the time at home with him because
Mhm.
I think as a classroom teacher, you might have those kids that are standing out as, hey, I'm seeing these character traits in them. I'm so sorry. I have 24 other kids that I have to focus on right now. So I just need to give you this Play-Doh and you to be content with it for 15 minutes. And that's really the reality of it. And so
Mhm.
I'm really thankful, first and foremost, for the time to be able to, like you said, to research what is going on with your brain and how can we make this. A lot of times when you read about ADHD, it's I struggle with, or it's such a struggle in our home. It has this really negative connotation around it. And
Mhm.
so we've really tried to make it a positive. Wow, God has given you an amazing ability to really hyper focus on things. That can be a really big tool in your life. You can use that to accomplish so many things. So kind of flipping the script on that a little bit in his life. So he's not growing up with this feeling of what's wrong with me?
Right.
Why am I so different than my siblings? So I think the fact that he's not my firstborn has been really beneficial to us because I've seen it in context. Okay. So Ella, my firstborn, very typical firstborn, very wants to please, very perfectionistic, very driven, very motivated, independent learner. But then there is an 8 year age gap between her and her brother. And so if you know much about birth order, you know that a lot of times when there's that giant age gap, plus there's a gender difference. So even without the age gap, a lot of times your firstborn daughter, your firstborn son will both act as firstborns.
Mhm.
So we've got an 8 year age gap. We've got a female and a male. So my second one comes along and I'm like, wow, I'm an amazing parent. Look how awesome my kids are. They're perfect. So then when Noah comes along, I'm like, huh, this is different. And as he is getting a little bit older, by the time he was 2.5, 3 years old, he would so um, ADD, ADHD. A lot of times you do hear about the inability to focus. Noah's is more characterized by a hyper focus, and that's mine as well. And as talking to my mom about a lot of this too, like when I was little, because I'm trying to figure out like where did all of this start? And
Right.
she's like, oh yeah, you've always been like that. And I'm like, well, mom, do you think that you possess some of those character traits? She goes, 100%. She's like, I'm totally ADHD. It just wasn't a thing then. I'm like, well, that would have been nice to know. So, anyways, I mean, when he was really little, 2.5, 3 years old, obsessed with certain things, obsessed with farm animals. He had this book of cows, little baby voice. He could tell you every single cow in the book. There were probably 60 of them. He could name every breed. He could tell you defining characteristics of all of them. Super, super intelligent. So something else that definitely describes Noah is the kid has so much energy. He cannot sit still. And so we use that though as a tool throughout our day. So I'm not punishing him for that. We're
Right.
seeing, okay, how can we use that? Because he is going to mirror my energy. And
Mhm.
so if I am sit still, sit still, sit still, then he's going to start feeling like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I sit still? But I can't sit still. So we've got a lot of tricks in the bag, a lot of tools that we can use to help him focus. And we can get into those a little bit more later. Those are two really,
Big one.
really basic ones, but you will, especially as a homeschool mom, you will know seeing your child around your other children
Mhm.
or around peers. There is a very distinct difference between children who just have a lot of energy because eventually they'll get tired and they'll be
Mhm.
ready for a snack and a show. He's never tired and ready for a snack and a show ever.
Yeah.
At bedtime, he will tell a story and he will continue talking until he just absolutely passes out.
Mhm.
There's a distinct difference.
Mhm.
And I hate to just give the answer of you'll just know, but it's like when you're in labor, you just know. You just do. There's a very distinct
I love it.
difference.
I love it. And
Mhm.
I'm so glad that you brought up the hyper focus.
Yes.
Because moms who maybe it's their first kid that is showing like, okay, there's something extra
Mhm.
going on here. They may not realize because the connotation out there, or the understanding of ADHD is that they have no attention whatsoever. And that
Right.
is part of it. Some of them literally cannot concentrate on one thing
Yeah.
because they're so overstimulated with the things that are going on. Like I have a friend of mine, she's an adult, she's 40 something and she is profoundly ADHD and she lives it, she owns it, she wears it. I mean, that's what she talks about on Instagram and everything. But I was asking her one day, what's it like, in your brain? Like if I could be
Mhm.
in your brain, what would it be like? And she's like, okay, you know how when you have your computer on and you've got like 12 or 20 different tabs open at one time and you're just goggling or
Yeah.
what do you call it? Going back
Like
and forth.
toggling back and
Yes,
forth.
yes.
Yep.
Back and forth from different tabs, and you're just constantly going from one thing to the next. She's like, that's my brain. It's
Yeah.
it's a computer open up to 20 tabs at one time.
Mhm.
And somehow I'm able to juggle all those things. So like you were saying, it is a gift once you start to figure out
Yeah.
when and where those kinds of things are appropriate. So it's not just they can't focus, sometimes they hyper focus.
Yes.
And in girls, it's very different. It can present differently, and that's why they took the H out in the formal diagnosis. It's just
Mhm.
ADD now because girls tend to present more like they're daydreaming,
Yeah.
and so they are hyper focusing, but they're actually just like watching the bird outside.
Yeah, I'm
And
so glad you brought that up because a lot of times in girls, it's missed. It's
hmm
missed so often because in girls, it's not here, it's
hmm
here.
hmm
And
yeah,
that is what it was for me for so long. And even going to the doctor, I was misdiagnosed with anxiety disorders for years. And it wasn't anxiety, it was ADD. And once we finally got to the root of it and figured out what was going on, then we could process from there and figure out the best way to manage life.
hmm
But until you figure out really what is the root of the problem, what are we dealing with here, you can't really help them manage what's going on. And it is missed in girls a lot because it's not outward.
hmm And I think it shows up a lot, not just in boys, but in girls as well. And you're probably going to shake your head, yes or no, or bang your head against the wall. Not quite sure which one. But kids and teens and even adults who have ADD tend to lose things a lot, or they
Oh, yeah.
can't keep track of the things that they need, which can be
Mhm.
very frustrating at times. But a key is that it may look like for you, the way you have things organized in your room might make perfect sense to you, but not to me. Right. And
Right.
so, like in my son's room, I would walk in and I would literally start to hyperventilate because everything was everywhere. And I would say, dude, you got to clean this up. And he said, but I know where everything is.
Mhm.
And so every time I would test him, I'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, well, go get your blank, 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 blank. And he was like, boom, 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 off he went. And
You
he
took
found
it.
it because
Mhm.
it's organized mess for them. But for us, it kind of looks just like, chaos.
Right.
So it's all these quote unquote little things that are, hints. It's not just that they're in perpetual motion all day
Mhm.
long, which they are.
But helping them manage that too, because there is a balance to it. Because as a parent, even personally, it's like, hey, but once I get to a point where it is so chaotic, sometimes my outside matches my inside.
hmm
And so you don't want them to get to that point either. So, like, yes, respecting the way that they process, but at the same time, laying that groundwork of good boundaries.
hmm
But it's interesting because a lot of times people with ADD, they don't like the organizational process because it's boring.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of what I've learned, even coming down to like personal hygiene and showering. This is really interesting. So I, don't judge me, please. I'm very clean. I smell great. I know you're all the way in California, but I promise I'm very clean. I don't like showering. I hate it. And for the longest time, I'm like, why do I hate showering so much? And I finally put my finger on it. It's boring. It feels like a waste of time. It's 15 minutes that I could be doing something so much more productive. And so I've started making sure that when I'm in the shower, I have a podcast on. Makes it way more fun. I can learn something. It makes the time go faster. So even down to little things like that, or when he is showering or when he's in the tub, we'll put on like real cool history for kids or, something like that. The fact that he and I both have brains that work similarly, we can definitely do this sometimes. But if
Hmm.
I'm able to be in a self-regulated space and step back, then I can really help ground him and nurture him and be like, hey, buddy, I know exactly what you're feeling. You do? Well, yeah, because I'm feeling it too. So it's a real point of connection.
I
It's
love
pretty
that because
special.
I do want to talk about that. And I do want to talk about the non-academic things
Mhm.
that come up when you have ADHD. But I want to go back to what you originally said about how you love the fact that you're home and you can make these different accommodations
Yeah,
that he needs. So let's kind of talk about that.
sure.
Many of the issues that make it nearly impossible for kids who have ADHD to be in a traditional school setting, but home is like the perfect place. So, can you share with us what are some of the maybe accommodations or specific
Yeah.
strategies that you found have worked for you, but also more in particular your son?
For sure. And I will say too, I do feel like the public school system has made some strides in trying to accommodate. I know a lot of my teacher friends, they use like a variety of seating. There's only so much that they can
Right.
do, but I do want to say I feel like a lot of teachers with the limited ability that they have, I do feel like they really are trying. So kudos to them
Mm-hmm.
because, wow, they have such a challenge. And my heart goes out to them because they're, trying to accommodate so many, but I do feel like a lot of them really are trying. However, I do feel like home is the best space. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it really is going to raise these kids up to be who God created them to be. And so at our house specifically, we use a lot of timers. We love visual timers. There's a free app, it's called the Mouse Timer, and it's got like little apples across so you can choose whatever time you want. And then the mouse eats through the apples as it's getting closer and closer to counting down the time. So we have timers going a lot. Anything visual really helps him sustain because it's like, okay, the end is in sight. If I would just give him the task of go read, absolutely not. That is spin out worthy. Like them's fighting words. Like we're not going to just go read. How long am I reading for? What am I reading? Where am I reading? As many specifics as possible. That's going to help kind of diffuse all of those things that are firing in his brain because he's got lots of questions. So if
Mm-hmm.
I can manage those expectations up front, that helps a lot. So, hey, buddy, this is the book that you're reading today. I put a sticky note on the page where I want you to start, and I'm going to set your timer. As far as you can get before the mouse eats through all the apples, then you can be done. Where do you want me to read? You get to choose. It's really nice outside today. If you'd like to read on the trampoline, that's fine. Or if you want to crawl under the table, that's a good choice too.
You're speaking my language.
You will rarely, rarely find Noah sitting in a chair.
Hmm.
If he is sitting, and honestly, it's not necessary. Sometimes it is. Like if we're working on handwriting, he needs to have good posture. I'm okay insisting on that. If he is in a chair, I did a reel on this a few months ago on my Instagram. If he is sitting in a chair, I love those squishy things that you put under their feet. So we have different things like that. So he can just bounce his feet around all day. Or he's got this like hot chili pepper and it's really squeezy. So if I need him to sit, if we're doing word work or something like that, he's got something that he can hold on to at all times. And then there's a definite break in between subjects. We're never rolling through work for an hour. It's usually about 15 to 20-minute chunks. And then they are earning outside time. Hey, you did great. I'm going to time you. I want to see how fast you can run 3 laps around the house.
Hmm. We used to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's reward for him. And for his older brother, it's torture. No, I don't want to. But for him, that's what keeps him going. He has to move.
Hmm.
And by me keeping him inside, sitting, it would completely stifle his
Hmm.
ability to learn.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do to him.
Yeah. My son needed to move too, as most kids with ADHD. But what I did notice was that when he would like throw a baseball while he was doing spelling words, or he would be, doing jumping jacks while he was doing math facts or whatever. Um, my husband would always come in and be like, "What is going on in here?" And I would tell him, and he's like, "He needs to sit down." I'm like, "Can you sit?" No,
Yeah.
the boy cannot sit. So let him do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
But I feel like for moms like me who I don't thrive in chaos, and that's not chaos for him, but like when Joe would have fidget spinners in his
Mhm.
hand, or he was tapping things out while we were, reading or something,
Yeah.
that drove me cuckoo. And
Yeah.
so there's this balance of, okay, this is what he needs in order to concentrate. So I need to figure out how long we can do this
Yeah.
where he gets the movement he needs so that he doesn't go crazy. But then I also have a limit to the noise or the moving or the whatever that my brain can handle,
Right.
right? And so, because I'm definitely a one um, computer tab open person at a time. So, for the moms out there who are thinking, oh my gosh, that would drive me crazy if he was rolling around on the floor while I was reading, or he was reading under the table. Hey, pick your battles, do
Mhm.
what works for both of you,
Right.
and compromise on that.
And
So,
also test it. I mean, after he's been learning the way that he's choosing to, ask him a few questions. Hey, I need you to retell me this part of the story. And I can almost guarantee they will be able to.
mhm,
If
mhm,
they can't, then fine, start researching different ways that would work better. But if you have that, I'm a big proponent of whole body learning. So the more parts of your body that you can engage at a time while you're learning, the more likely your kids are to retain the information that's being presented to them. And I mean, I think another part of it is we have just been so wired to try to emulate what we've seen in a traditional classroom in our home. And that's something that I had to really work hard at letting go of. I wanted that cute little schoolroom at my house. I bought desks, Carrie. I bought little desks for my kids. And I wanted them to sit there with our alphabet charts and be so cute. And I'll be the teacher and you'll be the kids. And I wanted to play school. And guess what? I'm going to save your listeners a lot of heartache because it doesn't work.
yeah.
It just doesn't work. It's not cute. No one was happy. It was not Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
No. No, no, it was not. And I love that you brought that up because, sometimes my husband would walk in and he would say, "Are you even paying attention to your mom?" And I would ask him a question, and sure enough, everything that we just talked about or everything I just read, or he knew it, right? And so, but if I made him sit still, it was like Charlie Brown's teacher in one ear and wah 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 wah,
Yep.
So it
Mhm.
truly is beneficial to
Yeah.
let them do this whole body. I love how you called it the whole body
Yeah.
movement. All
Hmm.
right. So you did kind of start talking about how ADHD can also affect life skills, not just the learning. So, when you're homeschooling, what are some other things that you do to help your son and yourself with regards to like those life skills? Because I know executive functioning skills is really hard for kids with ADHD, and time management is super hard, and organization is super hard. So all of these different things, like what are some life skills and strategies that you've helped or you've used to help?
Yeah, and I think honestly, that can be pretty similar to just an average kid. A lot of it is figuring out what speaks to them as far as a reward system. So when we're talking about like chores and stuff, I need to know how he wants to be rewarded for what he's done. Another thing is you cannot lecture them. They're going to listen to about 3 words. So you've got to keep your instruction super concise and your directions limited to maybe 2 or 3 step direction. Okay. And then come back to me for more information. And he will come back. But hey, bud, I need you to get your socks off the stairs and get your shoes out from the front door. Okay, great, done. And then you can come back to me. And he'll do it quickly. But if I say, I need you to get your socks off the stairs and your shoes are by the front door. Oh, and you didn't feed Honey today. Did you forget to feed the dog? And hey, your sister's car seat out by the, and we start, it's gone. It's gone. I lost him at socks. He cannot track for that long. And I think really recognizing you're not going to be able to train him to take in more information. That's not how his brain's made. And that's okay. He doesn't need to adjust. You do.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to adjust how his brain is taking in your information. You need to adjust how you're giving it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. That's our job.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've realized is it's like we are both building neural pathways. He and I both are. He's building brand new ones for the very first time. I get to be in on the ground level of that. That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm building new ones because I have some old ones that are formed that are bad, that are not serving me well. And so I'm forming new ones alongside of him, but he's going to mimic and mirror all of my energy. So a lot of what happens during the day, I'm rabbit trailing, I know.
No,
I'm
no,
so
you're
sorry.
not.
It's what I do best.
Mm-mm.
A lot of what I do during the day is I am coaching myself internally while I'm coaching him externally. So that's one of the benefits of all the tabs is I can talk to myself on the inside while I can talk to him on the outside. And there's a lot of that happens during the day because we haven't really tapped into the feelings component of it. But that is a lot of the ADD, ADHD, child and brain, even adult. There's a lot of emotional spiraling that happens because usually ADD people feel very deeply. Their feelings are very deep. I heard a quote several years ago, and it has just stuck with me. It will forever. And it said, even when I feel nothing, I feel it completely. And that has just stuck with me because I resonate with that so much. I feel so deeply, and he is so the same way. So I have to be very intentional and very careful with my words. And he can come across as, I don't care, didn't matter, can't hurt me. But I know when we get to the root of it, to the heart of it, he will get pretty solemn about things. And it does. It really affects him. He's a really deep feeling little guy. He's very passionate. So that comes out in sadness though, but then that also comes out in rage. So that's something.
And enjoy. And enjoy.
Yeah, and enjoy.
When they're happy, they're super happy. When they're
Exactly.
sad, they feel it all. When
Yep,
they're
the
mad,
feelings are
they
big.
feel it all. Yep. Yep.
Yep, they're
And
very
and
high.
with the impulsive
Yep,
times,
impulsivity.
that if they're like in rage, sometimes, a lot of times, what they're thinking comes out. And when they're
Exactly.
sad, what they're thinking sometimes just comes out. And so
Exactly.
until they get
That's where we
over.
use a lot of like scripture memorization. We have a lot of scripture that we've committed to memory. And so even in those moments, it's like, hey, bud, what fruits of the spirit are we showing right now? And he
I
can
love
run
it.
through all of them. Or, God's made you a new creation. Old things are passed away. You are not that person that socks your brother in the face because you're mad. I mean, that's extreme.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's happened.
It
So
happens. Yes.
it does.
It's called life with siblings. Yes.
That's right.
So I'm glad you brought up the fact that that you're ADHD, you've been diagnosed with it. Your son is super active and he's got this gift too, that a lot of the day you are internalizing and talking to yourself and then
Yeah.
taking that and teaching him and coaching him. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the mom who is listening to this and she's shaking her head the whole time because not only does she have a child that sounds like your son and my son, but she feels it. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. Even if I haven't been officially diagnosed, I
Yeah.
know that I'm ADHD. And here I am trying to homeschool my kids and be mom and be nurse and be wife and be Uber driver and all the things that come with it. So tell us, what are some strategies and things that have really worked for you as a mom who has all of her tabs open and you've got four kids and a
Mhm.
husband and you're
Mhm.
trying to do it all. So what has helped you and worked for you?
A couple things first before I tackle that is I will just say it's really hard. It's hard whether you have ADHD or
Hmm.
not. And handling, managing, being the house manager of that many things, it's it's a joy. Like so much joy comes along with it, but it is really hard. So I would just say like give yourself so much grace
Hmm.
because you are doing like the impossible job
Hmm.
and you're doing amazing. So I just think that moms don't really give themselves enough credit a lot of times. Like, you're raising people, you're
Hmm.
raising human beings. Like, that's huge. So I just want moms to like pause and recognize God's given you this huge task and you're doing it. Like, that's incredible. Um, Also, I have a lot of people tell me because I wear a lot of different hats. I have a lot of interests, a lot of things that I enjoy, a lot of things that I pursue. And that's one of the, um, commonalities of having this personality type is you overcommit and you have lots of things that you're involved in and you're going to do them all. And actually you're going to do them all pretty well. And that's, then you get to a point where you burn out and then you just fall off the face of the earth for a little while because it's very all or nothing. Um,
Hmm.
yes, exactly. Hey, Carrie, you and me, you and me both.
I'm just coming back from falling off the earth. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So people will say, like, how do you do it all? And because from the outside, it's like, wow, April, you're doing such a great job and you look so organized and all these things. And my very quick answer is, I don't. I'm not doing it all. And I want to be like super clear about that. My plate is the same size as your plate. My 24 hours are the same as yours, and I can only hold so many things. And when something is bigger on my plate, something else has to fall off. So I want you to know that if my podcast this week is taking more of my time, that probably means we ate out more or our school lessons were more minimal because I'm not superhuman.
Right.
I can't do it all.
Right.
Yeah. So, but things that have helped me are making sure that I'm connecting with women who are like minded. That has been huge. So I actually just interviewed a friend on my podcast. Her name's Maxie. She's also very, very ADHD. And just having somebody that I can text or call. Our audio messages to each other are hilarious because we will start talking about something and, hey girl, I just wanted to check in with you. And hey, what is that guy doing over there? What is his dog? I mean, it is the most disjointed. It's amazing. So having women in your life that are like-minded, that they understand. For a while, I really thought the way my brain operated was really typical and normal. And then I started sharing things with people, and I would get the look like, huh, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I realized I have to find my people. So if you haven't found your people yet that can really relate, they're out there. You've got to seek them out. So be diligent to seek out people that you're making adult connections with regularly. And then the other thing is having really good resources. I am not a sit down and read a book person. I hate reading, actually, which is funny because I tutored reading for a really long time. Reading is really important, but I don't like doing it. I like listening and I like watching. And that is another typical attribute for the ADD mind. So, some resources that I love. I really love Dr. Meg Meeker. She is a child pediatrician. She's been around for a long time. She has a great podcast called Parenting Great Kids. And then I just ordered a book called The Whole Brain Child. So we're going to see if I actually read it. You can hold me accountable.
Okay. It's a
I'll let
good
you
book.
know if I actually read it. So I'm excited to hear it. It was recommended to me by my friend Jamie Glenn. So she was on the show a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, and her podcast called Emotions with Ease is chef's kiss. It's so good. So she helps me a lot. So having some really good resources at my fingertips. And then my main thing is little breaks throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
My brain needs a break. And usually it's outside.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to have fresh air. I've got to have bare feet and I've got to have some sunshine. So if I can get even 15 minutes away from the dishes and the laundry and the schooling, it is worth the time, but I've got to pull myself away. You have to force yourself to get away from the grind
Mm-hmm.
and just breathe and eyes up and being present in the moment. I know those sound really basic, but it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so either we're sisters from another mister or I'm ADHD and didn't know it.
Girl, I think we
You
might be uncovering
basically
some
were just
truth.
saying exactly all that. And I actually just interviewed Jamie for the second time,
It's
and we were talking
amazing.
about having a calmer home
Yeah.
and her new podcast, which you're right, it is fabulous. And I think you're going to love the book Whole Brain. The Whole Brain.
Okay,
Yes, it's really
great.
good.
I can't wait to read it.
So I can't believe we are running out of time, but I know the moms have enjoyed listening to you. Your advice is awesome. Your voice is so soothing. So I know they're going to want to go and listen to your podcast, but can you tell the moms where they can find you, where they can find your podcast, how they can connect with you on social media?
Yeah, for sure. I would love that. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's under Follow the Leader. And then my podcast is Follow the Leader Homeschool Education. And you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube.
Love it. Thank you. Okay, so you've already given us some really good words of encouragement, but I love to ask this question at the end of all of my episodes. So, what advice would you give to other homeschooling parents who either have ADHD themselves or who are teaching a child with it, or both? What is it that you wish someone had told you before you started homeschooling?
Mhm. I wish that I knew that this isn't a struggle that we're fighting against, that this is really going to be the thing that forms a bond between you and that child. Sorry.
That's okay. I totally get it.
I feel so connected with Noah.
Mhm.
And it's through this that we share this common thing together. I can't imagine how his life would be different if he were in an environment where this wasn't being nurtured, if he were in a space where this was being stifled and being seen as a negative. Um, we had a really tender moment the other night. Noah had just a really emotional evening. He had a really hard time regulating. He was just all over the place. He just couldn't center. And so at the end of the night, I was putting him to bed. It's one of my favorite parts of the day is just kind of lingering with the boys at bedtime. And I was sitting on the side of his bed and I was like, Bud, I just want you to know that God has a really good plan for your life. And he's going to use this to help so many people. And I was like, did you know that mommy has really struggled with a lot of the same things that you're struggling with? And I was like, there were times and seasons when I would be in the shower and I would be emotional and I might recite the same Bible verse that I had memorized. I might say it 100 times. And he was like, 100 times? And I was like, yeah, really, like for real, 100 times. And I think those moments like that, where you can get real and you can get raw, that's what it's all about.
Mhm.
It's about connecting with your child where they are. Sending Ella off to college has made me realize how fast it goes. You have this really little short window to pour into them. And I would just say they're all going to throw something different at you. All of their personalities are needing something different from mom. And God has positioned you exactly where you are in your home to be your child's best teacher. You are equipped with everything you have. God put it in you. You can do it. You just have to have the right people coming alongside of you, encouraging you. You can do it. Just don't do it alone. We weren't created to live alone. We're created to be in community from the garden. That's who God created us to be, is in community with one another.
Fabulous advice. Talk about chef's kiss.
Hmm.
I can't add anything else to that. That is a wonderful way to end this conversation. And I'm super excited you came on, and I can't wait for the next one. Thank you, April.
Thank you, friend. I loved being here.